Hey, what's up guys, it's Ian here. Just want to say thank you for clocking in today on Monday. And today, I'm doing something a little different. Instead of talking about computer stuff, I'm going to talk about game consoles. Well, again, but I'm talking about a new game console. Today I'm talking about the Nintendo Switch, and basically just about the hardware specs of it, because it's something that I've kind of been looking into for a while now. Excuse me. So, one of the main arguments I've been seeing is it going to use Maxwell-based architecture or a Pascal-based architecture? And a lot of rumors and articles are coming out saying it's Maxwell, it's the older Maxwell. And this had me really concerned, because if it was using NVIDIA Tegra X1, which is Maxwell, it wouldn't have been good, because it's not that fast. Especially when it's undocked. It's like 300 megahertz, and this is according to the rumor. It was like 300 something megahertz undocked, and that is about the same speed as my Radeon 5550 HD that I had on my old computer, which can't run anything, even on low. So that had me really concerned. And by the way, I know AMD and NVIDIA are two different architectures, but you get the point. And this is, like I said, I was looking into this, and I think I might have an answer to this. So, whenever back in, I think it was October 20th, when they showed off the Nintendo Switch for the first time, they showed off that cool little video. Shortly after, NVIDIA came out with a blog post pretty much saying, we've been working with Nintendo for, what was it, like 500 man years or man hours? And I guess that equates to like a year and a half or so, because that's how long they've been working on this. And that the Nintendo Switch is using the same architecture as their or their top tier graphics cards, which are Pascal. You know, the GTX 1050 all the way up to the 1080 and the Titan XP. So for them to use Maxwell, even though they clearly stated that they're using their newest architecture, would be a flat-out lie, and it really just doesn't add up. And in the article, it basically said, and this is also going off of Ash from Game Explain. I know I use them a lot when I'm talking about Nintendo, but I mean, come on, that's all they talk about, and they're a cool channel. Check them out. Ash had mentioned that in the article, they went with Maxwell as it was more efficient. It gave off less heat, it was cheaper to produce, and it was smaller. This is all untrue. In fact, it's the other way around, because NVIDIA put a lot of time into developing Pascal, and with that in mind, Pascal is cheaper to manufacture. That's why, the 1060, which is on par with the 980, is cheaper, because Pascal, excuse me, is a cheaper manufacturing cost, and it is a smaller design. I think Maxwell was either 20 or 28 nanometers. Pascal is 16 nanometers. Pascal is far more efficient than Maxwell, and gives off less heat. So it pretty much, these are facts that just completely crap on these rumors. So for Nintendo to use Maxwell, that would just be shooting themselves in the foot. And so that's main facts pretty much. Looking into their presentation that they had in a couple of days ago, actually. 5 days went really fast. Maybe not 5 days, but whatever. They showed off a couple third-party games, and the main one that I've been using as a reference a lot is Steep. Steep is confirmed, and they showed it running on the Switch. Yeah, for a split second, but the fact that it was still there kind of proves my point as to what I'm about to get into. The NVIDIA Tegra X1, this is coming off of Ryan from Cinemassacre. This was when they showed off the Switch for the first time in October. Mike and Ryan, they had a video pretty much talking about the Switch, and Ryan said something along the lines of, the X1 is about 20% of the power of a PlayStation 4, but the X2, or in this case P1, because they had the Tegra K1, which is Kepler, X1 that was Maxwell, now Pascal, it's going to be P1. That is, the P1, or X2, whatever you want to call it, is 80% of the power of a PlayStation 4. And if you compare X1 to PS4, it's not, it's not that much, better. It's actually far less worse than PS4. And it just doesn't seem right that Nintendo would use this architecture in the Switch. And I'm just thinking about this. Would Steep even run on NVIDIA Tegra X1? And in my opinion, I really just don't think it will, because the hardware requirements, even on like PC, Steep requires recommends a GTX 980, which is pretty beefy. So for it to run on X1, if they could get it to do that, would be pretty impressive. But I just don't think it could happen, and it seems more likely that the Switch is going to use a more Pascal-based architecture. Now, I could be wrong. They could use Kepler for all I know, and that'd definitely be interesting. But I really think that Nintendo needs a modern architecture right now, because they're really worried and they're really focusing on third-party support. And this is something that Nintendo needs right now to succeed, or else they're going to fall behind again, like they did with the Wii U and every other system that they've had since, Super Nintendo? Excuse me again. So if you look at like the Wii U, they used a GPU from about 2008, which was pretty dated, and their CPU is the same kind of architecture as the GameCube and the Wii, and that's from like the late 90s, I've heard. So it's hard to just make games for the Wii U because the architecture is so foreign and outdated that Nintendo just really needs something modern that developers can work with to make third-party games. So I think if you have a familiar Pascal-based architecture with their modern top-of-the-line NVIDIA GPUs, I really feel like this could help Nintendo. So, like I said, I could be wrong. They could use whatever they want. They could use the 8800 GTS or whatever. But yeah, this is really interesting to see how this is going to play out. There's not too much I can say right now, just because Nintendo hasn't said a single word except for that NVIDIA blog post that I've been referring to so many times. But yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting. If you have any thoughts, just let me know, because I'm really interested to see what you guys are thinking, and hey, it could probably change my my viewpoints on this. So if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit subscribe and like and all that other stuff that YouTubers say. And here's a word from Charlie.
So, you like that video you just saw? Huh? Maybe, you gonna share it with your friends? Huh? Maybe, leave a like and a comment below? Maybe you hit that subscribe button for us, yeah? Alright, good.
So now get out of here.